Welcome, everyone. It's nice to have a full house here in your house. We appreciate y'all being here. At this time, I'd like to ask you if you're able to stand. We'll have the prayer and the pledge of allegiance. Let us pray. To God in the manner that you are most comfortable. Heavenly Father, in such turbulent times, we look for your guidance, peace, and happiness. Our lives are filled with so many events that could cause us pause. But with your words of wisdom, love, and kindness, all we need to do is follow our heart. We are thankful for all your gifts and our chance to share them with those less fortunate. As always, we are grateful for your love and guidance as we work diligently for the citizens of Owensboro. So, Heavenly Father, I once again ask for your help to always have eyes that can see the best in people, a mind that can forget the bad, a heart that can forgive the worst. As we pray to strengthen our faith, because with faith there is hope, and hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things. Keep your hand on the shoulder of those who protect us and keep us safe. We respectfully and graciously ask this in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll ask Ms. Davis to roll call.
Commissioner Pam Smith-Wright.
Here.
Commissioner Sharon Neesmith. Here. Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mark Caslen.
Here.
Commissioner Bob Glenn.
Here.
Thank you. We've already done the prayer. Okay, at this time we'll have some presentations. The Mayor's Award for Distinction to David Daniel. I'm going to come down front, read this, and we'll go through the 1, 2, 3. Okay? Did I do anything wrong now? Oh, that's right. Thank you. David, you want? Hello, David, you want to step front, please? David Daniel is a senior at Owensboro High School. In July, he was named the first Boys Nation president of the Commonwealth of Kentucky in the 77-year history of the program, a national political program with competition of over 22,000 kids from across the country. Notable alumni: Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Neil Armstrong, and many others. David is also United States Senate Youth Program Delegate, AP Scholars and Honors, and a Yale Youth Global Scholar. He is the president of NHS debate team and science team last year. He passed 9 AP exams and intends to apply to the Ivy League universities this fall. He plans to continue to explore his interests in politics and service to the highest level. Congratulations.
You didn't want us getting a picture tonight?
Come on down if you're going to cry about it. Let's go.
Let's get
Come
one
on,
with
come
all
on.
of us in there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, heck, we want to congratulate you
Thank
too.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, here we go again. All right, shake Might as well just go home and let everybody else do this. Okay, and I have a proclamation for National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week. Do we have folks here? Alvin Leachman, Amanda Taylor, Tom Galloway. Who wants to accept this proclamation? Okay. I guess, anyway, City of Owensboro, whereas many of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, forced to choose between basic necessities like purchasing food, paying for rent, or going to the doctor. And whereas approximately 37.9 million Americans currently live below the poverty level, and between 500,000 and 600,000 are homeless on a typical night. Whereas the gap between increasing housing costs and stagnant incomes widens, the end result is that more and more people become homeless. Whereas there are many organizations in Owensboro committed to sheltering and providing supportive services, as well as meals and food supplies to people experiencing homelessness. And whereas transitioning homeless citizens towards self-sufficiency requires a multifaceted approach, which begins with the targeting of specific causes that lead to homelessness and a realistic plan of intervention, strategies, and services. Therefore, I, Thomas Hart Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim November 11th through the 18th is National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week in Owensboro, and encourage all citizens to recognize that many people do not have housing and need support from citizens and public and private entities and nonprofits. Signed and sealed this 7th day of November, 2023. Yeah, we'll make it. Brenda. How are you again?
I am doing well. How are you?
Just a year older, it looks like. This is a proclamation for National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. Whereas for 40 years, hospice has helped provide comfort and dignity to millions of people, allowing them to spend their final months at home surrounded by their loved ones. Whereas the hospice model involves an interdisciplinary team-oriented approach to treatment, including expert medical care, quality symptom control, and comprehensive pain management as a foundation of care. Whereas beyond providing physical treatment, hospice attends to the patient's emotional, spiritual, and family needs and provides family services such as respite care and bereavement counseling. And whereas since its conception, the hospice benefits holistic approach has helped patients prepare for and face death, and their loved ones carry on supported in the wake of it. Whereas 1.72 million Medicare beneficiaries living with life-limiting illness and their families received care from the nation's hospice programs in communities throughout the United States in 2020. And whereas hospice and palliative care organizations are advocates and educators about advanced care planning that helps individuals make decisions and care about what they want. Whereas the central philosophy of hospice care puts patients first, ensuring a coordinated and person-centered approach to care, protecting patient choice and access to individual services based on the patient's unique care and needs. Now, therefore, I, Thomas Hart Watson, City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim November 23rd as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. Okay, crew, come on up, crew.
And Pam and Beth.
Hey, Margaret. That's awful. Okay, we're gonna grip and grin at the camera.
All right, sounds good, thank you. A lot of people.
Just gotta get more room. Oh, my turn.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay.
I will. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much to Mayor Watson and to the commissioners for proclaiming November as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month in the city of Owensboro, and we are so grateful for that. And I just want to say that, you know, we have over 80 employees, full-time and part-time, taking care of over 200 patients daily in our hospice and palliative programs, and that doesn't even count the numbers that we serve through our bereavement care. And it's just wonderful to be able to serve that many and to be recognized and to have our staff recognized by you all, as this is a very important thing for the community. Hospice care, as you know, is for people that are terminally ill. And President Carter, former President Carter, is under hospice care. And a lot of people think hospice care is only for a few days, but the Medicare benefit is a 6-month benefit. And President Carter has been with hospice for, I believe, 8 months now. So that's one of the things that we're trying to tell people is when you elect the hospice benefit earlier, there's so much we can do for you. We recently had a wish for a patient. She had been a former driver at Windy Hollow racetrack, and she wanted to go back one last time, and we were able to make that happen because we had her for a longer period of care. And she let her wishes be known, and we had a limo, and she actually took a circle around the track in the limo. And so just the things that we can do for our friends, families, and neighbors in hospice care and in palliative care, we're just so grateful that you all have recognized that and recognized our staff and the important work they do in the community. So thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to present this proclamation to you. I've already read it, and I'm not going to read it again. Too many big words in it for me. Come on down, guys. Can you still shoot through? Okay, all right. Good. Well, take a picture, okay?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Thomas Galloway. I'm the Operations Director at the Daniel Patino Shelter. Thank you for your recognition and your partnership with us in our mission. I just want to say over the last year or so, we've made some huge strides with our outreach program, especially in the Grad counties as well as Davis County and Owensboro as well. We've made some community partnerships with other shelters to try to get people back to where their resources are. Especially in the Grad counties, and it's just impossible without Mr. Leachman here. He's been the driving force. He came on in the outreach program about 6 months ago, and it's just been It's been awesome to watch, just to have it realized and our mission come to life. We're just grateful to be partnering with the city and then all the support that you guys offer us as well.
It's our pleasure. We're blessed to have you. Okay, item 5A. Consider approval of minutes dated October 17th, 2023. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, deletions, or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5B, I ask that you consider these board appointments. Owensboro Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, reappoint Jonathan Patton to a 2-year term effective November the 8th, 2023, and appoint Calvin Williams to a 2-year term effective November the 2nd, 2023, and appoint David Curry to a 2-year term effective November the 8th, 2023. Grad Hazardous Mitigation Council, report Leland Hancock to a term effective November the 7th, 2023. I'll make a motion to approve these appointments. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Consider this board appointment, International Bluegrass Museum Board of Trustees. Reappoint Tom Watson to a 3-year term effective November the 24th, 2023. I'll entertain somebody else to make this motion.
Motion.
Do we know this Tom Watson?
No.
I'd like to see his credentials.
I heard he can sing, though. If that makes sense.
Any other discussion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, second readings of ordinance, none. Item 7, ordinance, first reading, there will be no vote. Ms. Davis.
Ordinance 25-2023, an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Article 1, Section 3-8 of the Owensboro Municipal Code to expand the sale of alcoholic beverages on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve when those holidays fall on a Sunday, from 6 a.m. until 2 a.m. the following day. Introduced and publicly read on first reading the 7th day of November, 2023.
Thank you. City Manager?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Our alcohol ordinance creates hours when alcohol can be sold within the city. The ordinance specifies different hours for Sundays versus all other days of the week. So certain regulations for Monday through Saturday, but then have this Monday through Saturday have the same hours, but different hours for every Sunday. A local business asked if we would expand our Sunday hours when Christmas Eve, is a Sunday as it is this year. That we've already actually done New Year's Eve, Mayor. So we're changing it just to add Christmas Eve to that specifically. But so after consideration, there was consensus among board members to continue. So as a result, this is first reading of an ordinance allowing expanded non-Sunday sales when Christmas Eve is on a Sunday. We've previously made the same accommodation for when New Year's Eve is on a Sunday, and such instances occur infrequently, approximately every 6 years.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, thank you. Item 7B, please.
Ordinance 26-2023, an ordinance closing a portion of Gratian Street, Faust Avenue, and a section of an alley right-of-way adjacent to 719 Faust Avenue in the city of Owensboro, Kentucky. Introduced and publicly read on first reading the 7th day of November, 2023.
Thank you. City Manager, please.
Yes, Mayor, this is first reading of an ordinance closing 3 small portions of city right-of-way on Faust Avenue, Gratian Street, and an unnamed alley. The property owner who requested these closings owns all property contiguous or adjacent to these rights-of-way to be closed. We have previously closed other rights-of-way as the owner has acquired other properties in the area. You can see on the screens in front of you those 3 areas shaded in red are the 3 on the left side, which will be the west side is Faust Avenue right-of-way. In the middle of that narrow strip is an unnamed alley. And then on the right-hand side is the Gratian Street closure. And so again, those areas in red to be closed are owned and requested by their property owner who owns the large properties there to the south or below, and then also those 2 houses in between. business operates from there, and they've been buying, excuse me, they've been buying properties to expand their business.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, thank you. Ms. Davis, municipal order.
Ordinance 27-2023, an ordinance annexing to the city of Owensboro certain unincorporated territory in the county of Davis, adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 2808 West Parish Avenue, containing 17.253 acres more or less, at the request of the T.C. Osborne Estate. Introduced and publicly read on first reading the 7th day of November, 2023.
Thank you. City manager?
This is first reading of an ordinance annexing approximately 17.25 acres. This is a consensual annexation, meaning the property owner has provided written approval for us to annex the property. Although the address is on West Parish, most of the street frontage for this annexation is on Carter Road. It is the property behind and beside the Lee's Chicken there on Carter. Our York Ditch Basin project is the southern portion of this property on about 3.5 acres, but this annexation is all 17.2 acres of the site. So again, on the screens in front of you, it's the red shaded area to be annexed. You can see Carter Road there on the right-hand side and West Parish there to the north beside the Dipper. If you see that area in red that's above the yellow line there, that's the 3.5 acres where the city is constructing the York Basin. And then the remaining acreage is still owned by the previous owners, but it is all being annexed under this annexation.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. Item 8.
Municipal Order 41-2023, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement between the City of Owensboro, Davis County Fiscal Court, and Daniel Patino Shelter, providing for the cost of additional staffing, liability insurance, and bus tickets to the shelter during the White Flag events occurring during the winter of 2023-2024, and similar agreements for the winters of 24-25 and 2025-26. Read for approval on one reading the 7th day of November, 2023.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager?
For the last several years, the city and county have partnered to provide a shelter for White Flag winter weather events when the temperature wind chill dropped to 15 degrees or below between November 1st and March 31st. The terms of this agreement for your consideration today are the same as in prior years. The city will provide insurance coverage and free passage on transit buses, and the city and the county split other costs, and the Patino Shelter provides meals for those who seek shelter at their facility. This municipal order is for a 3-year term to continue as long as no changes are made in each of the subsequent next 2 years.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Commissioner Caslen.
I'm just curious, do we split that 50-50, the cost, or?
We do.
Okay. Do you have any idea how much that cost has been in the past?
I do have a spreadsheet here, thank you. Over the term of the White Flag going back to 2017, our total cost had been $17,655. It varies a little bit year to year, of course, based on the weather. Some years has been very little. Some years has been a little bit more, but in total, $17,655 since it looks like the winter of 2017.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Glenn.
City manager, I just wanted to clarify the language in there about bus tickets. Are we just talking about our transport system, or are we talking about Greyhound?
That's on ours.
Just
So
on ours.
they can get on a bus, and if they tell the driver that they're going to the White Flag shelter, there's no cost.
Great, wonderful. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. I just wanted to double check. Okay.
Anybody from the
Thank you, Mayor.
public? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kim Jones. My address is 5254 Highway 60 West. I own a business here in Owensboro that's 323 Booth Avenue. And I would like to propose the white flag temperature that is set at 15 to be raised to 35. Louisville, Kentucky, theirs is 35, and Evansville, Indiana's is 35. Henderson, Kentucky sets theirs at 35. We're the only ones in the tri-state that it's at 15. I have a homeless man that I've been helping, and his name is Kelly. I've been trying to help him for the last few years. Last year, on December 28th, he got frostbite to his toes. The temperature was 22 degrees. He was unable to get into the shelter because it was full, and there was no white flag that night. He was admitted to the hospital where he spent 10 or more days. He had surgery to remove all 10 of his toes due to the frostbite he received from the bitter cold. A nurse at the hospital said there were several homeless people in the hospital at the same time. Kelly then needed 3 months of rehabilitation in a center to learn how to walk without toes again. He also needed a pair of prosthetic shoes specially made for him. The cost of hospitalization and rehabilitation of the homeless immensely exceeds the amount of money it takes to provide shelter during a white flag. Mr. Andy Ball from the Davis County Emergency Management Director said it costs $350 to open white flag. This urgently needs to be changed due to the temperature has already fallen in the 20s, and the shelter has been full and they've been turning people away. Thank you for your concern and attention in this matter.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Angela Settle. I live at 346 Maple Avenue. Over 10 years ago, I joined the Homeless Council of Ohio Valley as a volunteer, and I quickly learned that I had finally found my passion. The homeless.
Take your time. Take your time.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I've been blessed to work as the assistant director at St. Benedict's and volunteered countless hours at Crossroads to Hope Women and Children's Shelter. I was there the first time it was open. Excuse me, I did not know this was going to happen. I have been the executive director at the Help Office for over 4 years, and I am shocked by the overwhelming number of unsheltered homeless that live in Davis County. The volunteers and staff at the Help Office assist these individuals every day with food, clothing, personal hygiene, and currently warm clothing and blankets. We see a population in this community that many are unaware of. We hear the most unimaginable, unbelievable stories of what they've endured and why they've become unsheltered homeless, and also the reasons why they do not seek shelter at one of the local homeless shelters. While the reasons are many for someone to choose to live outside, and it's often their choice, they are humans that deserve better. And we are called as Christians to help the homeless and the poor. This is not an act, this is really me. Our community is blessed with many wonderful shelters that stay full, especially when the weather turns cold. Despite the fact that we may not change them and they will still make poor decisions, we must at the very least try to provide a safe, warm place when offering a warm, safe place during the freezing weather. And that would be a win. I think I messed that all up with my tears. The white flag is meant as a refuge for many that do not normally seek shelter. I think everyone in this room will agree that a temperature of 15 degrees is too low before declaring a white flag. What little research I did, white flag protocols in the United States most of the time set their temperature at 35 degrees. There's an easy solution, and I pray that you do not approve the current white flag policy before discussing this with the individual or individuals who are responsible for deciding that 15 degrees is the temperature for a Davis County, Kentucky white flag. We must do better. Money should not come before people, especially the homeless. But I do have some questions too. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. Anybody have a Kleenex? Thank you.
I was getting ready to say, you better get a tissue
Thank you.
first.
I'm okay now.
Okay.
I apologize for that. First question, I do need some clarification on who makes the decision on the temperature for the white flag.
City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. So I've been trying to go through that a little bit over the last few days because that policy was established before I was here. But it's my understanding that there was a group that was put together, task force, if you will, and it was actually adopted as a policy of the Homeless Council of the Ohio Valley. So we do have that policy as an attachment to our agreement where it was adopted by the Homeless Council. So as my understanding, it was set by the Homeless Council as a recommendation, and then that was adopted by the city and the county.
Okay. Next question, could you explain, what is this, I think you just said the city's budget for a white flag per year is $17,000, is that correct?
That's how much we spent since the program was initiated 5 or 6 years ago. So we just have sort of a lump sum there that we pull from it because it's on an as-needed basis, so it varies from year to year.
So can you tell me specifically what this money is spent on?
Yeah, I believe, let's see. Okay, the city provides costs for staffing and operational costs for the Patino shelter. We provide liability insurance for the shelter, and then also the bus tickets that were referenced earlier, where anyone can ride to the shelter for a white flag event at no cost.
In the Messenger Inquirer, which I know sometimes isn't always correct, sorry if there's anybody, the city and county will pay for staffing costs and other expenses associated with the white flag, such as washing and purchasing linens. In the past, EMA provides the linens, and I don't know about the wash, but that's not something in the past with white flags. When it was at Owensboro Christian Church, those were given by EMA, and then they were just disposed of. My question also is, so there's staff, you're paying for extra staff at Patino Shelter to serve on white flag nights? Or is it staff, you're paying their staff?
It's my understanding, again, I don't operate the shelter, so I can't necessarily speak to that. But two things to your comment about the cleaning items. Per the agreement, that's the responsibility of the county. So that sort of offsets our bus that we operate, the county doesn't. So we pay for the busing service. And as a consideration for that, then the county pays for the cleaning items and those types of things, sleeping mats, per our agreement with the county.
Okay.
Now, with regard to the other question, I don't recall, sorry.
I don't either, so. What? The cleaning, and that's not a big deal. I was just trying to figure out where the cost, what all was included in that cost. So I guess, can you explain the main issue that you all would have, or the problem in raising the temperature from 15 degrees to, let's just say, 32 to 35 degrees, other than the obvious, which means there's going to be a lot more days that they'd have to be open, which that in turn means more money. Would that be the biggest issue for why we could not change that temperature?
Well, I won't necessarily speak for everyone individually, but I think my recommendation to the Board of Commissioners would be to go ahead and approve this tonight, because we're already in that season. And so if there's interest in amending that temperature, it needs to be done in consultation with the county. And actually, that was a policy from the Homeless Council. So there would need to be a little bit of a process. And so I would want to delay any potential homeless or white flag events this year, although the temperature has been warm now. I would encourage you to go ahead and approve this, and we can look at revisions in the future, because the county has already approved this, and I don't want to hold up. Because right now, if there's a white flag event next week and we don't approve this today, we technically wouldn't be covered. So go ahead and adopt it tonight, and we can look at any revisions with the various partners who are involved in the agreement, would be my recommendation to you.
Yeah, and I talked to Judge Executive Castlin about this at length, and it came down to the fact that 15 degrees is what was being decided on, and just quite honestly, I'm not going to vote for it, because in my real job in the real world, those guys with no toes, they used to come see me. So I'm not going to vote for 15 degrees, and so, but it may pass anyway. But I think that if we pass it, like City Manager says, we always can amend it once we get with the county and try and figure out some other compromise, because it is a shared responsibility.
Okay. And this is really uncomfortable for me. I don't like confrontation, and it's really uncomfortable.
Am I giving you confrontation?
No, but this next comment,
Oh.
I need for somebody to explain to me why in 2017, this is all from 2017 Davis County Fiscal Court minutes, okay? But I'm just going to tell you what it says. St. Ben's was paid $250 per white flag night, not to exceed $5,500. Davis County Fiscal Court will sign a similar agreement with St. Ben's regarding their financial committee to the arrangement. Hang on, I've got more. It basically, what I read, and I can't find it now, is that you all were going to basically follow this, and I'm just curious as why that has had such an increase, because Davis County Fiscal Court's budget is $15,000 for the white flag, and you're paying $17,000, and it was $5,500 back in 2017.
I'm confused on your question.
I
quite
know,
honestly.
I know.
So you're saying we're paying
More.
17 now, we used to pay 7, fiscal
Well,
court's paying 15. Is that what you're saying?
when I read the minutes, it just said that you all were following the same policy as Davis County Fiscal Court, and that was pay $250 for white flag each night, not to exceed $5,500.
I don't know that the judge and I talked about the finances of it. We
Okay.
talked about the temperature.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
we'll have to go back and,
Okay.
Yeah, so I think what that means is each instance was it $250?
Yes.
Right, but you don't know, it could be one time, it could be 20 times based on the weather of a year, and so they were capping it at $5,500 of an expense. So whatever that math would be, 5,500 divided by 250 is that's all they were budgeting for that year. Now I suspect that's what they would budget every year, or maybe an increasing amount as costs potentially have escalated. That's a different agency, so I can't
Yeah.
necessarily speak for certainty, but that's
and-
what I suspect that would be,
Okay.
but we can verify and talk
And
offline.
and this was just something I read in the minutes, and that's why I brought that up. Thank you all for your consideration. Thank you.
My name's Darrell Lambert. Mayor, am I going to have at least a couple of minutes to talk about the homeless? It's not particularly about the white flag, but about
at the
the
end of the
homeless.
meeting.
At the end of the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir.
I didn't recognize you with the chin stuff on.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
So, city manager, I want to make sure I understand this. And Angela, thank you for all your great work and on behalf of the homeless for years. I've known you for years. You've got your heart in the right place. The question I've got is, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I want to make sure I'm on the right path. So we have the ability, we need to pass this tonight is what I'm hearing you say. But that we would have some flexibility only after we talk to the county to find out whether we can make that temperature adjustment and revise the policy. Is that correct?
That is correct. Again, I would advise you to approve it today, so we're covered in the interim, and then that would give us time to go back and negotiate, because again, it is a two-party agreement with the county.
Right.
I know they have already approved the agreement as it's currently constituted, and so again, that would allow us to be covered now, and then I would recommend we have a process with the county, the homeless council, whomever may be interested to look at that. I'm certainly not an expert in those types of things, so I would think we would want a recommendation from some other group as to what that temperature
And
should be.
we can do it because it's a municipal order, we can do it in one reading.
We can come back and do that very quickly.
I mean,
Correct.
that's how I feel. I mean, I don't want us to not have a policy that works to help somebody, because that's what you're telling me. We would have no policy, no agreement if we don't pass this tonight.
Change it.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Our agreement would be the 35.
Commissioner Castle, do you want to speak?
I'm sorry. I was just saying that if we don't change it, our current policy would be the 15 degrees instead of the 35. He was saying, Bob was saying we wouldn't have an agreement, and I was saying we would have an agreement at 15 degrees, even if we don't do anything.
No, we need to adopt this, or otherwise we wouldn't have a current
We
agreement.
have to approve
Okay.
as is, unfortunately. Yeah.
Anybody else? Another precinct heard from. Commissioner Smith-Wright.
Thank you. I'm just concerned, what if the county decides that they don't want to change to higher than 15 degrees? And, if all of us voted for 35 degrees and the county says no, what happens?
Well, I guess that's when we'll have to get together and talk about it, I guess.
Okay.
It's the only thing I can say. I'm not going to speak for them. Cause
Yes.
but I did already speak with Charlie, and I started at 32, which is freezing. And then I just kind of, and we settled on this because that seemed to be where they wanted to be. And we don't have any magic whistle here to know when it's going to be 15 degrees.
Right.
So But you're right. Yes, Commissioner Smith, right. I mean Commissioner Neesmith. You don't know how hard that is. You agree? Give me some of that.
Pam even gets mail addressed to her as, is it
Sharon Smith Wright.
Sharon Smith Wright? So
Get close to the mic so everybody
oh,
can hear you.
excuse me. I just wanted to ask a question, just so I make sure I understand too. Initially, when this was put in place, the homeless council themselves is who recommended 15 degrees. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. There was a policy
27.
from the homeless council that is an attachment to the agreement with the county that actually has that information in there about the 15 degrees, correct?
So are you representing the homeless council now?
I should be, but I don't go as often as I used to go every single month, but I do know that I spoke with the chairman of the homeless council because there's a meeting tomorrow. He's not even seen the policy for the white flag this year.
Yeah,
That's all
I assume it's the initial one from 2017 or whatever was first adopted.
I was just saying it would seem obvious that the first recommendation should come directly from the homeless council, and because it seems like the city and council and county did follow that. So that's why I was asking. Obviously, all three of us need to agree to it, which is kind of like common sense, but hopefully we'll get there.
That all you have?
That's it.
Okay, City Clerk, where are we?
We are ready to take a vote. I've got a motion and a second.
Okay. All right, could you refresh my memory on what the motion is, please?
Yes, I've got a motion to approve the municipal order as stated. The motion was made by you, and the second was made by Commissioner Glenn.
Any other questions?
I just would ask our city manager to collect one bit of data from the homeless council or for somebody, maybe EMA, how many extra days projected on average if we up the temperature would that involve? I have no problem with trying to fund this at that level because I agree that we need to do all we can to help the homeless.
Okay, I know that data was compiled from a period of 2010 to 2015 or so when it was first, when the policy was established in 2017, but we can update that data.
Okay, that'd be
Mr. Glenn,
good, that'd be good information to have if we come back and, raise the temperature. so to
Judge
speak.
Executive Caslin was getting Jordan to compile those figures.
Yeah,
to
maybe
know-
they haven't, yeah.
To know the costs and things.
Right. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Nate.
Andy Ball had given me that information.
Can you state your name and address
Kim-
for the record?
Okay, sorry. Kim Jones, 5254 US Highway 60 West. But David Ball had given me what you were asking for. I'm sorry, Andy Ball.
Andy
Yes, he's Davis County Emergency Management or Director. He said in 2014 there were 94 days that it was 32 degrees. 2014 there was 44 days that it was 20 degrees. 2014 there were 26 days that it was 15 degrees. Then 2013, 93 days at 32 degrees, 22 days at 20 degrees, 7 days at 15 degrees. And then in 2012, it was 66 days at 32 degrees and 1 day at 15 degrees. And those are the figures that he said that they had pulled together to make this decision. I think in 2017.
To make what decision?
The decision to mark it at 15 degrees. Yeah, in 2017, I think you said? Is that when the
I
decision?
believe that's when it was. Again,
Okay.
I wasn't here, but that's when the policy was created.
Okay.
It butts up just before 17, so that was my assumption.
Okay,
I think that data was from 11 to 15.
okay.
All right, we're gonna vote. So there's a motion and a second, and we're gonna vote.
Yes, sir. Typically no, but I can if you prefer.
No, that's okay. All in favor of the motion, of 15 degrees, is that where we are?
Yes.
Say aye.
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 All opposed? Aye.
Aye.
So is it 3-2?
It failed.
Well, yes, if I heard it correctly, I have,
There's only some of us.
I know.
so,
Okay, let's just raise our hands.
let's just, can I roll call it, do you mind?
Roll call.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Smith-Wright,
No.
Commissioner Neesmith,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Caslin,
No.
Commissioner Glenn.
Yes.
So the noes have it.
So then we have no effective white flag policy as of today.
Tonight, we don't. I mean, we have one from previous years, right?
But it's no longer active
Why?
because it expired, hence the renewal today.
So if we had a white flag event, if it was 10 degrees tonight, there would be.
There's no, right.
Oh, I misunderstood that.
Yeah, it's. So again, our agreement was effective, I guess theoretically, I don't know if there was a date in there, but if it resets every year on November 1st, and I don't, Mark, can you review the agreement or Beth to see when the actual termination was? But a new one would reset as of November 1st. So technically, as of November 1st, we did not have an agreement.
That's correct, so we don't have a white flag agreement in effect.
Right.
Didn't know that. Okay, so our agreement is what?
Again, that's the reason, Mayor, my recommendation was to adopt this today, so we have something to cover the interim period, and then we can come back and adopt it based on the recommendation and consensus of the group.
In my opinion, if you're concerned about the homeless, you would rather have some white flag policy, even if the temperature was lower than you think it ought to be. Because right now, regardless of temperature, we would have no white flag events.
Okay, we'll vote again.
Do we need a new motion to start over? Yeah.
I'll make a motion to vote, or to
Revote.
reconsider the vote on the white flag initiative.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Okay.
So now we vote on,
Now we roll to the next item, and so we'll convene a group, and I suspect it'll come back at a future meeting relatively soon.
I've been doing this 11 years. It's the worst one I ever came across.
It's a first.
Mercy. Okay. 8B. Thank you, City Clerk.
Municipal Order 42-2023, a municipal order authorizing and ratifying NUNC Pro Tunc the execution of an application for a Project Safe Neighborhoods funding grant through the U.S. Department of Justice in the amount of $43,748.11, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the Owensboro Police Department to purchase a Foster Freeman fuming chamber for which no match is required. Read for approval on one reading the 7th day of November, 2023.
I make a motion to approve this. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, you have anything to add?
Just briefly, Mayor, this municipal order authorizes a grant application to acquire a fuming chamber for the police department, which is used for their fingerprinting process. Our existing fuming chamber is past its useful life, so the grant is a good opportunity to update our equipment, and since there is no match for this grant, there will be no cost to the city.
Thank you. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 8C, please.
Municipal Order 43-2023, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a deed of easements between the City of Owensboro and City Utility Commission of the City of Owensboro, Kentucky, also known as Owensboro Municipal Utilities, granting 2 perpetual easements for the purpose of installing, operating, maintaining, and replacing underground water lines and appurtenances across properties on Old Hartford Road and near the Greenbelt. Read for approval on one reading the 7th day of November, 2023.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager?
This municipal order authorizes a permanent easement with OMU in which OMU will run water lines and construct a pump station. The easement is in city-owned property for the Greenbelt, and it's a section of the Greenbelt between Old Hartford Road and Byers Avenue. OMU is undertaking the project to add capacity and water pressure in the southeast part of the city, in the Hillcrest area in particular. And this is a project that the city actually funded with our ARPA funds.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 9, City Manager.
First, Mayor, if you would acknowledge Angela Waninger to present the September financial report.
I acknowledge you.
Thank you, Mayor. My PowerPoint presentation will be on the general fund activity for the month of and the 3 months ended September. You may refer to page 3 of the financial packet for more detail. So for our first slide, for the month of September, actual revenues of $4,239,685 were higher than budgeted revenues of $4,128,857, resulting in a variance of $110,827. This variance is primarily due to higher net profits, primarily offset by timing and property tax. The next slide is for the 3 months ended September 2023 for revenues of $14,672,593 were higher than budgeted revenues of $14,019,863 for a variance of $652,730. This variance is primarily due to higher net profit license fees and insurance premium license fees, offset by timing and property tax. Our next slide is for the month of September for expenditures of $8,234,213, which were less than budgeted expenditures of $12,065,209 for a variance of $3,830,996. This is primarily due to timing in the transfer to OMU, which was from the ARPA funds, and timing in supplies and maintenance. For the 3 months ended September 2023, actual expenditures of $19,453,481 were less than budgeted expenditures of $24,386,197 for a variance of $4,932,716. This is primarily due, again, to the timing in the transfer to OMU, supplies and maintenance, and savings in personnel. The next slide shows how monthly revenues and expenses can be cyclical. As you can see just how cyclical they can be, this is the nature of finances here at the city. Expenses, as depicted by the red bar, typically outpace revenues in the warmer months, and likewise where revenues, as depicted by the green bar, outpace expenditures in the months of October and November due to the collection of property taxes, and the month of April due to collection of net profits. And we budget accordingly. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. So I'll make a motion to file the report for audit. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 9B, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So for promotional and probationary status, we have various promotions that we'll cover tonight. As you'll see, these are all in the fire department. We've had 2 battalion chiefs who have departed. One is retiring, one left for employment elsewhere. And so as we promote from captain to battalion chief, you'll see that those promotions filter through the ranks to backfill those positions. And so these are all fire department related for promotional. So Corey Gant, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to battalion chief with the fire department effective November 19th. James or Bobby Grant, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to battalion chief with the fire department effective December 3rd. Clayton Tuma and Brian Roberts, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointments to captain with the fire department effective December 3rd. And Ted Easton Weathers, probationary, full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to lieutenant with the fire department effective December 3rd. And then for regular status, these are employees who have completed their probationary period and are now transitioning to regular status. Those include Danica Richardson, probationary, full-time, non-civil service appointment to office manager with the transit department effective November 7th. Sydney Coleman, regular, full-time, non-civil service appointment to purchasing specialist with the finance department effective November 14th. And Hunter Hinton, Lucas Hardy, and Aaron Contrado, regular, full-time, non-civil service appointments to sergeant with the police department effective November 20th.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve these appointments. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, City Manager. Do you have any more comments?
Just one additional comment, and I'd like to acknowledge that the city has received the Government Finance Officer Association's Award for Outstanding Achievement in Popular Annual Financial Reporting for the 5th consecutive time. Each of our reports are reviewed by judges who evaluate the report based on reader appeal, understandability, distribution methods, creativity, and other elements. We also call that the PAFR, which we started 5 or so years ago to assist the community in understanding the budget. If you remember, that's the one that we show every year.
Yeah.
Budget for Dummies is the one way to think about it, where it's mostly in graphs and charts, so it's understandable for the average citizen. And so I'd like to acknowledge Angela and her staff for getting that award for the 5th consecutive year.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll go to open public forum. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Commission on any matter of public concern that was not on tonight's agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of this commission. What? Well, skip 10? You want me to skip 10? Communication from elected officials. Smith Wright. Commissioner Smith Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations, Angela. I just wanted to tell you that I was excited last Friday. The Daughters of the American Revolution honored me with a certificate and this pin because my husband was in Vietnam, and they are partnering with the Department of Defense to give widows this pin and a certificate. And I just want to thank them publicly.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Commissioner Neesmith.
Neesmith, right? That's what you're going with. I saw it.
Don't start that.
I know, really. Being new and not understanding all of procedures all the time, I certainly want to make sure that the folks that are here that are representing the homeless people, that we are taking what you're telling us into account. And it's very difficult for any of us to say that 15 degrees is warm or 16 degrees is warm enough to not go to a shelter. So hopefully that will be worked out between all of the entities involved. But we just have to remember we do have to get agreement from those involved to make sure it happens correctly. But thank you all for your comments.
Commissioner Castler.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Just want to remind everybody that deer season is upon us. When you're traveling any roads in the county or anywhere in the state, just remember, be aware that the deer are being pursued by hunters, and it's mating season, so they could come out anywhere. And that's
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I'm a deer hunter, Mayor, so I'll be out in the woods, and you won't see me on the streets as much as next week. So anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Glenn.
Just want to echo Commissioner Neesmith's comments about the homeless situation. We had to have an agreement in place, but hopefully we can work it out and get that issue addressed. One of the other things that agreement does, which is so beneficial to our community, is if there was no such agreement, churches and other nonprofits would be besieged to basically buy motel rooms for these people to keep them warm. Our church has done that. And the motels are not kind and fuzzy. They charge top dollar. So the fact they can get a meal, they can stay warm, they can be in a safe environment is critical. The white flag policy we have, I think, in many ways saves lives. But I'd like to see it adjusted. Totally agree with you folks. And I thank you for coming out tonight. Absolutely. Thank you for letting us know about your concerns. That's what this is for. Finally, I just want to say congratulations to all our neighborhood alliances, the awards ceremony that we had, the dinner we had a few weeks ago. Wonderful event. Great to see our citizens active and doing great things in our community. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I hope everybody voted today. That's my main thing, because the elections have consequences. You care if I go to number 11 now? Open public forum. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Commission on any matter of public concern that was not on tonight's agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of this commission. Commission meetings are held to conduct city business for the benefit of Owensboro citizens and taxpayers. This time, anyone who wishes to address the City Commission, please make their way to the podium to be recognized. Speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record and limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Since the item's not on the agenda, no response is required from the staff or the commission.
Thank you, Mayor. My name's Darrell Lambert. I live at 816 Unsel Road, Maceo. Maceo. And I've been working with the homeless, and the mayor has helped me, and so has some of the other city people. They've done a lot. They opened the restrooms at English Park. They gave us all the supplies where the homeless could keep the restrooms clean and they're spotless. I'd like to invite you all to come down there. I think it's the cleanest park in the city. The police have been wonderful. They haven't imposed themselves on us, but they've been there when we need them. Now that's all the good part. But there's other parts. You're talking about the Homeless Coalition. The Homeless Coalition has no homeless in it. So how in the world can the commission know what the homeless need if the homeless are not involved in it? Let's get some homeless involved. They want to be involved. They should be able to receive the same dignity of everybody in this room, and they're not. We get somebody in the city caught drinking. They may not even go to jail. They may be escorted home. But we arrested a young lady for being intoxicated on a bicycle. Not fair. There have been 2 people die in the area of English Park, or what's called Tent City. One overdosed on the railroad track. The other jumped in the river. There was one person shot by a friend through a friendly argument. I'll put that record up against the city of Owensboro anytime, Mayor. Guarantee you there's been more than one shooting in Davis County, or 2 suicides. Let's treat them with dignity. They deserve dignity. They deserve to be a part of their own destiny. And we treat them like animals, where we're going to cage them and put them in places they don't want to be and tell them how good we are to them. Housing should be the last thing we look at. Giving them dignity should be the first thing we look at. They're American citizens. We don't need $1.25 million building to house more people when they won't be there. Let's get them jobs. Let's incorporate them. This man has spent 40 years in the penitentiary working for the city. They just fired him. And I think the reason why, because he had love for the homeless, and he probably wasn't skipping to the steps that he was told, Mayor. I'd like for you to look into that. His name's Richard. He was the one that cleaned up the garbage with me at 6:30 in the morning, every morning, but he was fired. Most humble, gentle man that I've seen.
Lambert.
I could say a whole lot more, but Mayor, I do appreciate what you've done, but there's a whole lot more to be done. Just consider them people.
Anyone else?
My name is Raymond Knowles. I live at 2622 East Yellowstone Drive. I agree with you on some points, some of it. I've spoke with many of you here recently about the homeless issues going on in our community. There is an encampment off of Triad Drive, off Ewing Road, which there are some people that want to mind their own business, want to do their own thing, want to live their own life. But there are those who want to pursue more selfish means as well. We have had people come into our community that have stolen things in broad daylight, that have harassed people in broad daylight, that have also done it in the dead of night too. I don't feel safe letting my children outside. There have been a few instances of gunfire. There have been some shootings. I've called the police a number of times. Other persons have called the police a number of times. Without muddling it too much, I know the encampment is on a property that is owned by what was once Owensboro Grain, is now the Carson Group. I have reached out to them for comment. When I've spoken to city officials who've requested to remain nameless about this, it is their opinion that they would like to not be seen as a company that would be hating the homeless or have a negative outlook towards interactions with the homeless, so they have allowed them to stay there in that capacity. And I understand that to a degree, and also I think it's negligent to our community and to our people that live in Owensboro who want to have that family, that community. That I'm 32 years old. I've been here my whole life. I went out and I worked, and I came back. I started a family, and I came back here specifically after seeing Coast to Coast because it was home, because it was safe. And while some people want to live their life, help people want to help other people, there are those who are just, if left to their own devices, will do just that. They will be selfish creatures, be selfish people, and we have the resources, we have the people that obviously want to help them, and we need to take the time to direct those people who may not know that there's a place they can go, that there's somebody they can talk to. But I come tonight before you all to formally request that the persons, Carson's Group, that own that area where the homeless encampment is, they come forth and they remove them from the property and take them to where they can get the help they need, to get the services they need, to get the employment they need to better themselves. There were 2 fires recently, which come up to a pad where there are semi-truck trailers when they run to time. But the fire, if it had reached those trailers, could have leveled the neighborhood, and there's not much. When you're complicit and you don't allow by them allowing them to continue to stay there, it is negligent for the safety of our communities and our families that are here in Owensboro.
Thank you, Mr. Knowles. Appreciate it.
Mayor, I'd like to rebut that for another 3 minutes, please. Just some information.
You get 3.
Okay. 3
No, you already had your 3.
Oh, now, wait a second. He said some things that were false.
Well, that's between you and him.
Also,
I'll happily talk about it with you.
yeah, but I mean, I want them to hear.
You've already had your 3. I'm sorry. Come back next week, next meeting.
I think that's about how much time's been spent on the homeless in this town, about 3 minutes.
I'm sorry you feel that way. I wished I had the answer. I could
Well, I can
solve a
talk-
lot
I
of
can
damn
talk to you about it
problems in
anytime.
America.
I can talk to you about it anytime.
Anything else to come before this commission? Hearing none, make a motion to adjourn. Should have a second, please. Second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.